Today I'm going to address the hate that is seemingly surrounding my new van, but be warned, the gloves are off. Not everybody is going to love what I have to say. I'm going to be answering some of the most popular questions that I've received since I've started documenting my new van journey, and I'm going to be asking you guys my very own questions. This is genuinely your chance to have your say. Please, would you mind beginning your comment with the vehicle that you drive? I'm trying to get a grasp of the demographic that is actually watching the channel and making those comments. If you don't mind sharing, drop your vehicle manufacturer before your comment. So if you don't know, this is my new van. It is the new Transporter from Volkswagen, and it is the from Volkswagen part that seems to be upsetting everyone. It's not from Volkswagen, it's from Ford. Very quick catch up. It started life metallic black, but then I wrapped it hearing aid beige. It's a 4Motion, get a badge and everything, and it's automatic. And regardless of what the pros in the comments would suggest, this variation, 4Motion automatic, is in fact cheaper than the Ford. And with the extras that I opted for, it came in at around £50,000. But I just built a Caddy Commerce Plus, which is the equivalent to this, but a Volkswagen Caddy. All I did was add auto box, no extra extras, and that comes in at £36,000. Fun fact, a first class stamp here in the UK is about to be £1.70. Front end is a desired taste. I like it, or I know that I will like it. That's probably the second most popular comment, is how ugly people are finding the front end. First most popular comment goes along the line of Ford. I hate Ford. Ford, end of. It looks too much like a Ford. That's a problem if you don't like the way the Ford looks. One subscriber said, I like the way Ford looks. All of these comments saying it looks too much like a Ford is like someone telling you that your wife looks too much like Megan Fox from the Transformers 1 movie. He said that. You gotta love the guys in the comments. Anyway, it looks nothing like a Ford. It looks just like a Citroen Dispatch. With that in mind, the Ford hate, why is there so much hate for Ford? I can't get over the amount of hate that there actually is for Ford themselves. Not even the collaboration necessarily, it's literally a witch hunt for Ford. My first car was a Mark II Escort, Ford. I learned to drive in a Ford Escort van. But since I become self-employed when I was around 22, I've always had Volkswagens. I've had 3 Caddies, 4 Transporters, and I've done it all. I've done really low, I've done Sportline stock, and then I also had the high Transporter that you guys know from this channel. I've done it all, but that's not to say that I would never own a Ford. The reason I never bought a Ford in the past, modifying them was just such hard work. The aftermarket just isn't there. The parts that you can fit on a Transporter, even this one, probably supersedes the list that you can get on a Ford Custom. Throw a stone on YouTube and you will find a guy like me building a Volkswagen Transporter T5, T6, 6.1. There is a guy that showed a video of how to resync your electric windows so that by pressing it twice, dum-dum, they go up in one like that. That's on 65,000 views. Please tell me if you know of one YouTuber that's doing a decent build along in a Ford Custom, because I can't find one. The Transporter of the past, and potentially this one in the future, I believe will always be the most modifiable vehicle out there. And once again, that's the only reason why I haven't chosen a Ford Custom up to now, is just that the parts and the pieces aren't there to support it. Ford Custom owners, new Transit owners, what do you think of this co-build? Does this open up a whole new avenue of parts, because there are so many companies that are wanting and willing to build and develop parts for this van, which will then go ahead and fit on your van? Is this something that you're happy with, or are you a bit like, leave us alone? We were quite happy with our wet belts right up until you guys in the Volkswagen community started spreading the hate everywhere. Where do you feel? If you cut my skin, I do not bleed Volkswagen shaped rivulets. The Ford Custom is a handsome van. For me, it always looks like it's doing 100 miles an hour. I don't mind it, but am I chuffed that there's a Volkswagen alternative? Yeah. In a nutshell, the new Transporter is in fact a different van. It's a Ford Transit, but Volkswagen got their chance to put their own little twist on it. Their own bonnet, their own lights, their own badges, their own front grille. A lot of people will say that they've made a hash of it. What does that remind you of? That's right, the Mercedes Sprinter X Volkswagen Crafter collaboration, which run from about 2004 to 2018. Everyone seems to love the Volkswagen Crafter, which shared a platform with a different company. Now, I understand that it helps that said company is also another well-known, well-respected German auto vehicle manufacturer, Mercedes, who's complaining about co-building with Mercedes. And the story couldn't be any more similar. This is a Mercedes 906, made in the same factory as the Volkswagen Crafter. Volkswagen once again had their chance to rebadge everything, choose their own tail lights, wings, bonnet, grille, headlight. And they made a hash of that as well. The Volkswagen Crafter is dog ugly. You see what I did there? I took my opinion and said it like it was fact. It's not fact. It will always remain my opinion. Just let that sink in for a minute. So that is my opinion. I truly believe that this is a far better looking van than the Volkswagen Crafter, and parts are more readily available in the aftermarket. Terrawagon, Flare Space, all of the companies over in America, because Mercedes exists in America. It might be called a Dodge, but it exists. Whereas Volkswagen isn't even available at all. So there are no parts for that. Getting parts for a Volkswagen Crafter, not easy. So if the Volkswagen Crafter is uglier, because it is, and less modifiable, why don't people just choose the Mercedes Sprinter? What's that?
The engine's from Volkswagen.
Yes, the Volkswagen Crafter has its own engine from Volkswagen, which was in fact drastically underpowered. Fundamental difference between a Mercedes Sprinter and a Volkswagen Crafter, not only tail lights, headlights, wings, bonnet, grille, badges, is the fact that each company got to use their own engine. So the Volkswagen Crafter has a Volkswagen engine, the Mercedes Sprinter has a Mercedes engine. So you Volkswagen people might think that that's a good thing, but it's not. Because like I said, the Volkswagen engine was drastically underpowered. The most popular engine that went in the Crafter was 109 PS. To put that into perspective, this is 160 PS. That's 47% more power. When you're making a camper van, it's going to be loaded pretty much all the time. And if you're watching this, the reason that we're talking about Crafters and Sprinters is the fact that you have probably turned it into a camper van, or you're going to turn it into a camper van. 109 PS is going to leave you wanting more power. And some people may say, well, they do make one that's 140 PS. If you can get one, yes, you can. That is the most powerful version that Volkswagen made. Still not as powerful as that one. And if you can find 140 PS, you're very lucky. Mercedes made a 190 PS version, a 319. They also made a 4x4 variant, which the Crafter did not. And they also made a 3-litre V6. Very cool bit of kit. So the Volkswagen counterpart to the Mercedes Sprinter is uglier, less modifiable, less variants available, and in comparison, let's say it's underpowered. Why are people still choosing the Volkswagen Crafter over the Mercedes Sprinter? And you may say, well, people aren't. Well, people are, because I've taken this to Camper Jam 5 or 6 times, and I get zero love. I don't go there for the love. That's not what I mean. People even joke saying, will they let you in that in a Mercedes? That's a cool looking van. And if that had a Volkswagen badge, I feel like that would get way more attention at places like that than it does, just for the sake of a badge. So it's all about the badge. Except that badge means nothing to no one. Not yet. So the badge means so much to so many people. They would buy the Volkswagen Crafter over the Mercedes because it is a Volkswagen. And people will still suggest that that's not a Volkswagen, even if it has a Volkswagen badge, because it's made by Ford. Try to keep up. So where does the MAN TGE come into this? So what is an MAN TGE for you guys that don't know? It is a Volkswagen Crafter. When Mercedes and Volkswagen went their separate ways in 2018, the 907 from Mercedes was born, and the new Crafter was born from Volkswagen, and MAN is literally a rebadged, remodeled slightly, the grille and things like that, version of the Volkswagen Crafter. Yet, it is a lot cheaper at the moment. I do believe there is a price increase coming. The aftercare, the servicing, and the cost of parts are somehow so much better on this version of a Volkswagen Crafter than Volkswagen itself. How can that be right? So Volkswagen, in a nutshell, is an inflated corporation. And we all know that. We all know there's a Volkswagen tax and a Volkswagen scene. But is an MAN TGE even a Volkswagen if it doesn't bear the Volkswagen badge? This has got a Volkswagen badge, but you guys keep reminding me that this will never be a Volkswagen Transporter. And this is a good time to remind you guys of a couple of things. I am over the moon with my purchase. A few people in the comments have said that I'm gutted and I'm just crying out for help. That is not the case. I can see what this van is going to be, and I'm over the moon with everything about it. 3,000 miles and the wet belt hasn't gone, so we're on to a win. And the other thing is, with all due respect, I don't care what you drive. So don't watch this video and say, hey, why is he hitting on the Volkswagen Crafters? Or hey, leave the MAN TGE out of it. I don't care what you drive. If you have a van, or getting a van, or have built a van, or have bought a van that's already finished, it doesn't matter. We get to go to the same places and do the same things and watch the same sunset and have an ice cold beer by the fire, or do whatever you choose to do. We all get to do that, no matter what we drive. One guy in the comments said to me when he found out that this van was £50,000 that I could have bought 25 £2,000 Citroen Berlingo's. What do I do with that information? I can only think that he has a £2,000 Citroen Berlingo and he's over the moon with it and he's trying to spread the good word. That's the only thing I can think of. It doesn't matter what we drive. Not to me anyway. And I don't surround myself with yes men. A few people in the comments are like, oh yeah, you only comment nicely back to the people that comment nice. That's not true. Check this message thread out between me and Andy from THQ when I showed him my lovely new wrap. And that's from a friend. If people don't like things, you can say you don't like them, but don't call me an absolute idiot. There are ways to do things. Saying, you're an absolute idiot, you must have been dropped on your head as a baby. All of them kind of things. Friction is going to meet friction. You can say, that's not my cup of tea. And I get that. We're all building different things. Andy at THQ has got a whole different aspect on what a lovely van is. He likes a wide variety of vans, of course he does. This might not be his cup of tea, but I would like to remind Andy from THQ that I am still waiting for some wheels. I did a simple ChatGPT kind of mock-up render, and I asked it, once it was wrapped, to put some new wheels on it so I could get a taste for what it's going to look like, and it's going to blow your mind. Check this out. How cool is that going to be once I get my wheels sorted? I do need to work on the prompts on the ChatGPT side of things. So please tell me your thoughts, your true thoughts. Please answer, genuinely answer some of the questions that I've put towards you. Don't forget, tell me what you guys drive. I want to learn who is watching the channel since I've got this, because I can only think that there's been an uptake in Ford Transit owners. Welcome, please do consider subscribing, and I'll see you next Tuesday.